And welcome back to the Breakdown Tech. Today I'm going to be talking about SSDs, what they are, and when you actually need to use them in a PC. A lot of PCs have them, but they're not necessary, so when should you use one? Well, I'm going to be talking about that in this video, but before we get on into it, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content exactly like this every single day of the week. We got PC build guides, we talk about difference in PC parts, how to find the perfect PC parts for your gaming PC and all that stuff. It's all covered here, so be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video for more content like this. Also, if you're going to buy any parts on Amazon for your PC, such as SSDs or anything like that, please consider using the first link in the description down below. If you use that link, it does help us out, so thank you very much to Amazon for allowing us to make that happen and for sponsoring this video and all of that awesome stuff. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump on into it. Let's start off by talking about exactly what an SSD is. SSD stands for solid state drive, which basically means that instead of storing data on a spinning disk with a moving arm like your traditional hard drive, SSDs use NAND flash memory chips that don't move and are basically just soldered or placed on to a PCB in order to store your data. The good thing about this is they'll last for years. They don't have any moving parts that can fail, and SSDs do degrade over time, but there's nothing that like dropping an SSD won't completely break it like what could happen with a hard drive. A very basic version of an SSD is actually just a USB stick, right? USB sticks are using flash memory chips, like actual hard memory chips, not moving parts, to store your data. Now, of course, SSDs are much bigger, both in form factor and size, and they're a lot more sophisticated, but on the basic level, they are very similar in how they work. An SSD and a USB stick have no moving parts to store data, whereas an actual hard drive or any HDD has a moving spinning disk with a moving arm to read and write data. So that's basically what an SSD is. Instead of storing your data on a moving part and a moving disk, it just stores it on a chip, right? Just a little flash memory chip. But should you buy one? Should you get one for your PC? Well, just like with a lot of PC parts, it depends. SSDs can make PCs a lot freaking faster, with Windows actually booting 3 to 4 times faster on an SSD versus a traditional hard drive. This speed increase will actually transfer to other programs on your computer as well, like Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, and even games like GTA 5 and things like that will launch faster when they're launching off of an SSD versus an HDD, just a normal old hard drive. With that being said though, there are downsides to SSDs too. At the time this video is being made, it currently costs $45 to get a 1 terabyte hard drive from Western Digital. Say a Western Digital Caviar Blue. That's what I'm talking about. It costs $45 to buy one of those hard drives. However, a 1 terabyte SSD from Samsung, which has very affordable SSDs by the way, comes in at a whopping $300 depending on where you buy it from. Some are on sale for $280 depending on the retailer, but overall it's going to be about $300 to buy a 1 terabyte SSD, and that's on the low end, guys. There are some that are touting really fast speeds that can go up to $700 for a 1 terabyte SSD. That is a 6.5 times increase from an HDD to an SSD with the exact same amount of storage. You actually can't even get any quality SSDs under $50, yet you can get an awesome 1 terabyte hard drive under $50. Because of this, it isn't really cost effective to store everything on your computer on an SSD. Thus, most when they're building a computer will spend around $100 on a 240 gigabyte SSD that'll hold your programs, your operating system, and maybe even some games and things like that. Those things will be able to boot quickly without any issues, and you'll be speeding around everywhere. However, you'll have a 1 terabyte HDD to store everything else, like photos, videos, random downloads, whatever is on your computer other than programs and the operating system, that's going to go on the HDD in order to keep it out of the way. And when you're watching a video, there's no reason to use the speed of an SSD. It's not needed. However, whenever you're launching a program, that speed is very welcome. So using this HDD and SSD combo is a really good way to keep things streamlined and be able to have the benefits of of both without breaking the bank. With that being said, you don't need an SSD. Your computer will work perfectly fine with just a normal old 1 terabyte hard drive, or even a 500 gigabyte hard drive, but there's no reason to get one of those when you can get a 1 terabyte one for less than 50 bucks. But still, you don't need an SSD. However, if you're building a computer for around $1,000, you should be able to fit one in. Specifically, maybe even just a 128 gigabyte one that's going to be enough to store your operating system and maybe 1 or 2 go-to programs, where everything else lives on the HDD. But again, they're not required to run a computer. You just need a hard drive. You don't need an SSD. An SSD is nice to have and it's going to give you a lot more speed, but you don't have to have it. So there you have it. That is what an SSD is and whether or not you need one. Do you think you should have an SSD in every computer? Let me know in the comment section down below. When and when shouldn't you use an SSD? I'd love to hear from you again in the comment section down below. Nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more awesome content like this every single day of the week. We post tons of awesome videos here, and it really does mean the world to us. Thank you guys so much in advance for doing that. My name is Nick. This has been The Breakdown Tech, and I am out, guys. Peace.